So these Greco games are great fun to play through actually. So fried liver attack, early fried liver with knight takes f7. So black, in modern times plays knight a5 or b5, etc. But this fried liver is meant to be really good for white. So this is an early fried liver with knight c3 here. Now castles. I think d4 is considered the strongest move here. But white castle, which is also a strong move. But maybe, after c6 it's a bit more controversial. Now d4. King went to d6. Now rook takes e5. Now knight takes d5 was played. And after this move, which was a bit of a disaster, there's a mate in 5, which the correct move d takes is played. And here queen a3 check was played. More accurate is b4 check apparently according to Ripper. But let's have a look at this. Now here b4 is mate. So another sweet game. Fried liver, 1620. All from 1620 these games. So this is Queen's Gambit accepted, and an early punishment of black being too greedy. So, by the way, yeah, people ask me in my 5-minute videos why I don't like materialism. You can see materialism being punished here, game after game after game in 1620. So here Queen f3, and the rook, is in trouble, and that's the end of the game. So Queen's Gambit accepted. If black tries to hold on to the pawn, it's been punished way back in 1620. So here's another game with an early queen f6, an early queen move, grabbing a pawn. Another example of materialism, punished drastically. So bishop takes, and there's a knight fork, winning the queen. Let's go on. So King's Gambit this time. Another violent continuation, perhaps. Not yet. No, white hasn't sacrificed 2 pieces in this game. Instead, he's just got a very good position, clearly better according to Ripka, and is exploiting this nice pin on the rook. So he's offering his queen now. Queen takes g4, because he's going to get back a lot more material. So rook takes, king takes, and white's just winning this whole. Well, lots of pawns up here, so that resigned there. Another example from Greco. So an early defense, which Petrov defense with knight takes e5, but knight takes e4 is not right. It's d6 or queen e7. So knight takes e4 drastically punished with queen e2, and after queen e4 d6, white's a lot better now with d4. So winning a whole sort of pawn in the opening, major pawn. After knight d5, winning more than just a pawn because black's in real trouble. F takes here. After queen c6, bishop b5, lovely move. So if queen takes b5, there's knight takes c7, forking queen and king. Bishop e3, so the queen's finally lured there to be lost with this nice knight fork. Another game, Owen defense. We've seen this before with the diagonal being exploited in the previous video. Another game with the queen coming out too early again, materialism, and black being mated on e8. So avoiding his queen getting lost, but instead just being mated on e8. So there's evidence here, if everyone was, well, if the keen chess players have studied Greco's examples, so what would the lessons be learned for style? Not maybe to be too materialistic in the opening before development's completed, before king safety is achieved. Not to try and win material or be too active, because otherwise you'll get punished like this. This is mate. So the examples go on and on. There's about 75 games of Greco at chessgames.com, and there might be as many on ChessBase as well. So bishop g8 here. So let's have a quick look at what happened here. Now this has confused me. So King's Gambit, Knight G5. So white playing Bishop B3. Is black in trouble here after F6? Well, Knight H3. White's going to get a big advantage after recapturing on F4 now. So Rook H4, nice exchange sack. And again, drastic, punishment for black's lack of development and lack of concern for the king being stuck in the centre. So Knight E5, check. Queen F7, the king's been drawn out, check. And Queen D5 mate. Okay, let's go on. These are just too good, aren't they? They're just too good. I've got to spend the whole of the 11 minutes looking at Greco in this video. So Knight H5, castles, Knight E1, attacking that pawn knight on H5, Queen H4, Knight D3. So white's regaining that pawn on F4. So they knew, the basics of the King's Gambit. It seems evident from this that he'd picked up that he can regain the pawn later with a big advantage, and here it's a big positional advantage, just winning the black queen. So another example here of the King's Gambit. So allowing the check on H4. White's already better according to Rybka now. In fact, so where did black go wrong here? Knight F6 or Queen H4, but not what was played here, Bishop C5, but instead Knight C6 to stop white playing, D4. Once white played D4, he's recapturing, he's getting his pawn back, or putting a lot of pressure on F4. Oops. So check. A lot of lead and development. Bishop F7, that classic, Queen and Knight fork idea. Rook H4, and black resigned here because the Queen's trapped anyway. So another King's Gambit, where H4 is played to undermine F4. And now Knight E5, lovely move, Knight E5. Or is it? Rybka actually doesn't like this particular one, thinks it's a bit unsound that black could have just taken safely. So the key move missed. Well, Queen F6 was a good move still. D takes, Queen G6, but where did black go disastrously wrong here? Still okay according to Rybka. E6, Knight F6, still okay, but we're very close to the finish of the game. The disaster's here. Black could have played King E7 apparently with advantage, at least on certain depth. He played King F8. And we see a slightly different theme from the others. So very nice tactics here. I wonder if you can spot it if I give you 5 seconds, starting from now. It's a subtle one. Bishop takes F4. And look, if G takes, there's Queen C5 mate. And if the Queen is taken, there's Bishop D6 mate. So there's actually black's in real trouble now, according to Rybka. So say King E7, Bishop takes G5, and black's in real trouble. So in the game, after Knight takes H5, there was actually Bishop D6. Beautiful stuff, some of this. So another Greco example, 1620 still. Establishing the pawn centre, driving the knight back, driving the other knights backwards and forwards. So Queen D5, after Knight A6, Bishop takes. So the classic F7 weakness is finally exposed. And here Queen D2, and black's had enough. Another example, delayed kind of King's Gambit, it's more like Vienna. And white regaining the pawn on F4, sacrificing a whole knight though there. So dynamic stuff, because white's got a lot of other assets, massive lead in development, and the king's safety factor on his side. So getting the pawn on G4, and now winning the queen with that last check that we just saw, Bishop takes and Queen takes. So there's plenty of Greco examples to study, and they're dating back well before Morphy. Please leave any comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.